Hello, welcome to the Prime Movie Recaps. Today, we are going to take a look at the 2014 thriller action film called Into the Storm. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. On a dark night in Oklahoma, four high school friends are hanging out in a car. They hear the crack of thunder and from afar see several transformers erupting. One of the youngsters gets out to film it on his phone, with his pals yelling at him to get back in the vehicle. Then a tornado descends right over them, killing all four children. In the following scene, we meet Titus' team, a team of tornado documentary filmmakers and storm chasers. Pete is their leader, who is irritated that they missed the previous night's storm that killed the children. Lucas and Jacob with him. Allison and Darrell are in another van. Neither of them is thrilled to be riding with Pete. Later that day, they track a storm heading towards the town. For a few months, Allison has been away from her 5-year-old daughter during their pursuit of this tremendous storm. The youngster wants her mom back, but even Allison isn't sure when she'll be home. She just repeats herself and promises her daughter that she'll be home soon. Meanwhile, high school student Donnie Fuller is creating a time capsule video for himself to watch in 25 years. Trey, his younger brother, enters to make fun of him for not talking to his crush Kylan Johnston. Gary, their father, is somewhat distant and a harsh taskmaster with his children. Gary is the vice principal at the school and is intent on that day's graduation ceremony, which Donnie was supposed to film. He tries to talk with them, but Donnie just pushes him away. In the following scene, we see Donk, a dim-witted buddy, and Revis, another idiot, attempting to make a major YouTube hit video. They have Donk ride his ATV down a ramp and over his pool, which has been set ablaze. The ATV crashes through the pool, shattering it. His pals chuckle while thinking about how many views they'll get, and his mother runs out screaming at them for breaking the pool. The boys hear about the coming storm and set out to find it. At school, Donnie sees Kylan being scolded by her teacher. He stumbles up to her in the library and asks her about what occurred, which Trey films for amusement. Kylan had to produce a video documentary in order to obtain an internship, but her video files became corrupted. Later, Donnie offers to assist her. She is very grateful for his offer. He makes Trey film the graduation ceremony, and he reluctantly agrees to it. When the storm approaches, the Titus team is at their hotel. Hail plummets down in size, and they go out to observe the tornado. When they discover that the tornado is heading straight for the school, they race off to warn people. The team proceeds down the Donk and Revis rodeo fields. The tornado approaches with force, as everyone can see it coming down. Pete instructs Jacob to capture footage, while Donk and Revis attempt to finish filming for their newest hit video. As the graduation ceremony continues, the tornado picks up speed until it reaches the school. The alarm goes off as the students are drenched wet. The kids are escorted into the school building as soon as possible. The kids, along with the principal and Gary, lower their heads as the storm drew near. A tree enters the school through a door, flinging one student out, while a hole opens in the roof, sucking several children out. Meanwhile, Donnie takes Kylan to an abandoned paper mill in the hopes of continuing her video project. They are unaware of the approaching storm until Gary attempts to contact Donnie. Before he is cut off, he informs his father where he is. The paper mill collapses around Donnie and Kylan as a consequence of the storm. Gary takes Trey with him to look for Donnie. They come upon the storm chasers in the city. As the tornado touches down there as well, the region is devastated, with Gary and Trey narrowly escaping death numerous times. They assist a neighbor and his dog to safety by rescuing them from their house. Allison is nearly carried into the tornado, but Gary holds onto her long enough for it to dissipate. Gary and Trey are taken by storm chasers with them in order to assist them find Donnie while also capturing more footage of storms. Donnie tends to Kylan's leg, which is sliced by debris. While Donnie and Trey are together, he reveals that he was furious with his mother for leaving Gary. He and Trey would visit her. The last time was hard because she didn't acknowledge him as she said goodbye to him. She was later killed in a vehicle accident. Suddenly, a pipe bursts, and water begins to cascade into the hole. Donnie calls his father for assistance, telling him about the situation before being disconnected. On the way to the next tornado spot, Pete apologizes to Jacob for making him miserable, especially since Jacob has been looking forward to getting out of there. The tornado returned, demolishing more vehicles and buildings. Donk and Revis run alongside the tornado and are carried away. The group enters a church for safety as one of them transforms into a tornado, but Jacob drops his camera. He rushes to retrieve it and is swept up in the tornado, burning him alive. Allison decides to assist Gary and Trey in locating Donnie so that more lives will not be lost. She blames Pete for Jacob's death since all he cared about was getting good video. Darryl takes the blame for what happened to Jacob. Allison picks up Gary and Trey in her vehicle in order to look for Donnie, with no apparent means of escape. The hole in which Donnie and Caitlin are trapped is filling up with water at an increasing rate. Donnie gets his camera and asks Caitlin to record a final message for her parents, informing them how much she adores them. Donnie is the same way with his father as well as Trey. Donnie apologizes to Gary for taunting him about the divorce. He embraces Caitlin. Donnie's message is received by Gary, who determines Donnie's location. Allison is led to the paper mill. They search for Donnie and Caitlin. When the water level rises, they hear their voices. The kids are trapped under a beam that's too heavy for Gary, Allison, and Trey to move. Trey smashes into the van, pushing the beam off to one side while also causing something to fall on Donnie's leg. Gary pulls Caitlin out of the water and jumps in after Donnie. He takes Trey's knife away from him and cuts Donnie loose with it. The youngster is unconscious. Donnie's father, Gary, performs CPR on him until he coughs and regains consciousness. Gary embraces his kid while everyone else gets into the vehicle. Allison learns that a far more powerful tornado, a colossal EF5 wedge tornado, is approaching. What's worse, the warning systems are down. They head to school to get everyone out of there and to buses in order to flee, knowing that the storm will pass by it and flatten the institution in seconds. The students and faculty are loaded on buses and quickly transported away. When Gary and his pals try to flee, a power line falls down the road, blocking their path. They return to look for another passage out. Pete, Lucas, and Darryl return to assist them, while the other survivors take shelter in a storm drain. As the Titanic tornado approaches, the wind nearly destroys the grate from the walls. Pete drives his car down there using an anchoring system to keep himself in place while also keeping the grating in place. The storm grows increasingly fierce until it appears to calm for a moment. Allison recognizes that they're in the eye of the hurricane. The winds pick up even more, as powerful as ever. Gary and Allison clutch each other and the kids as the tornado lifts Pete and his car into the air. It takes Pete so high into the sky that he finds himself floating above the clouds with the sun. He takes in the scenery just before falling back to earth and dying horribly. The storm finally passes. The town is razed in the aftermath. Allison phoned her daughter to assure her that she was safe. The people of the town, who are all grateful to be alive, were filmed by Trey for the time capsule video. Gary and his sons appear on screen, appearing to be much closer than previously. He embraces his sons while Trey shuts off the camera. Donk and Revis survive the hurricane, but they are still trapped in a tree afterwards. Revis asks Donk if his camera is functional again, to which he replies that it is. They celebrate the prospect of having their most recent #1 video with Revis falling from the tree while Donk laughs at him. With this, movie ends. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and turn on notifications, and leave a comment to help the channel out.